Greetings, flesh wound horror freaks, and welcome to a Vinegar Syndrome special. We haven't done one of these in a while, so we figured might as well. It's been a minute. Of course, we've been really busy with Oscar season and our big Oscar shows coming up. So yeah, but we managed to squeeze this in. I don't know how. I've watched I swear 100 movies this month, and that's probably accurate when you count up all the Oscar stuff alone. But nonetheless, we're here tonight to talk about movies that will not be nominated for any
Should have
Oscar.
been.
Maybe should have been. I don't know. Not well, hey, we'll get into that because Anthony Wong, who's in all three of these movies that we're going to talk about in a moment, did win the equivalent of an Oscar for some of his performances. Not these ones. But we are covering the Made in Hong Kong Volume 1 Blu-ray box set from Vinegar Syndrome, which collects three films that are Cat 3 and Cat 3 adjacent. Demon's Baby, I believe, is a Cat 2B, which is a little confusing. In a nutshell, that contains it's not for children. Obviously, none of these movies are for children. Don't be showing these to the children, guys.
You're normally the one telling them to show this stupid shit to the children. Oh no, they're just gonna show it to the kids.
Well, not that sadistic. I mean, well, I'd be okay with Demon's Baby.
See,
show Demon's Baby to your children. So Demon's Baby is a Cat 2B film, which contains most of the same elements of a Cat 3. It's just no explicit sex. You can kind of see the difference when you watch these. It's a little bit confusing. I'm sure somebody, but I think that in a nutshell, that's it. It still has the violence, still has most of the same elements, just no explicit sex, which will contrast with some other films on this set. So this particular set covers the late 90s period of Hong Kong film, which Hong Kong was kind of just the handover. It just happened 2 years prior back to China. There's a lot of stuff going on in the country at the time. Budgets for a lot of these were on the lower side. Were you a VCD guy, Todd?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these films the three we're talking about tonight were popular imports. We would get them on a VCD here, which you could explain it a little better than me, but the quality was not great.
It didn't have to not be not great. It just depends on the code. Because something like I had Deadly Camp on VCD, and yes, the quality was lacking, but I also had other stuff that was more modern. Yeah. So it's MPEG 1 instead of MPEG 2. So you're thinking, not the highest of quality. But it's not horrible. It's just a different compression.
Yeah, we've never really talked too much about this particular era film. We have covered some of the more popular Cat 3 stuff on the channel in the past, but
basically a VCD was a CD, and it could fit. I believe it was if you had a 72-minute CD, 60-minute CD, for music, it would still do the same for video. So pretty much most movies are on 2 VCDs. I know I got Friday the 13th uncut VCD. Still got a bunch of them, but yeah, normally 2 CDs, and you could actually burn them yourself on an actual audio CD and make your own, because they were literally movies on audio CD. Well, CDs that were generally people think of audio.
CDR sort of. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, the VCDs were pressed, but it's the same technology. It's just a video CD, as it's literally.
Yeah. You still have those in your?
I still have some of them. I know I still have Friday the 13th, The Burning. I should still have Deadly Camp, The Convent. I got a bunch of
nice.
Jason X. A Jason X bootleg I got from like China. It's like, gosh, I didn't know it was when I got it, but whatever.
You've got so much awesomeness packed into a relatively small garage. That's like really
no, that's
cool.
in the closet.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was actually looking at those recently because I was going to get rid of thin out some of them.
yeah, I get that. Not popping in the old VCDs very often. Well, there's no reason to do that this time because, of course, Vinegar Syndrome is always does a great job transferring these films. And so I'm going to do this a little bit different because I think it gives a little context. I'm going to hit some of the special features first just to run those down because, as always, Vinegar Syndrome does a stellar job. We get a video essay with Sam Dagan and Charles Perks on called Anthony Wong, the Cat 3 King. So this one runs about 11 minutes. It runs down his career. It's Anthony Wong has made over 200 films, and it's quite remarkable to see him in some of these, which are very low budget in comparison. But yet he would be making these around the same time as as his big breakout films. I mean, this is a guy who was in Hard Boiled, Full Contact, also with Chow Yun Fat. And of course, there's the Herman Yao relationship that they run down. Arguably the two most famous Cat 3 films, Ebola Syndrome and The Untold Story.
Hard to argue those two, though.
Very hard to argue with those. This goes over kind of some of his early Cat 3 stuff, Erotic Ghost Story 2, and that relationship. It's a nice little piece on some of his work, and Unearthed Films, I highly recommend you grab Untold Story, and of course Ebola Syndrome on 4K from Vinegar Syndrome. Those are the titans.
Yes, and Untold Story also has that really great Cat 3 documentary also.
Yeah, which that really will explain in greater detail. There is also Demon's Baby, a video essay by author critic Alexandra Heller Nicholas. This runs 8 minutes. It talks a little bit about some comparisons with Robin Hardy's Wicker Man, and goes into stuff that we'll talk about when we review the movie. But another nice little piece. One of the longer commentaries that we get on, got my notes mixed up. One of a couple commentaries that we get, Erotic Nightmare, Sam Dagan handles the commentary on that. And in addition to the movie, discusses the post Hong Kong, the Cat 3 in the post Hong Kong handover to China. Some really good background on that, because category 3, it's both a rating and a genre in a weird way. You can hear it referred to in different ways, and
very similar to the Video Nasties.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, there's more Cat 3, but yeah, somewhere between a hard R and an NC-17, essentially.
No, I wouldn't say between. I'd say it's full on NC-17.
Yeah, it depends. There's different kinds of Cat 3s. There's some, the more erotic ones. They never really go XXX though, so that's there's weird elements to them to identify them if you didn't know going in that it was a Cat 3. There's usually unpleasant sex, comedic elements, which they talk about on this commentary, comparable to like Italian sex comedies. They're nasty, yet at the same time, there's definitely that humor in them. Lots of unpleasant sexual stuff, though, at the same time. They talk about the beginning, Cat 3 kind of coming about for Man Behind the Sun, which, despite like kind of being a serious historical period piece, is also very much an exploitation film. which she talks about, and just that weird element that it was big studios and mainstream actors. These are not, if you're just dipping your toes, there were huge names that were part of this Cat 3 boom. And she discusses the different types, the softcore smash hit Sex and Zen, which you haven't heard of that. That's a huge one. Some of the more fantasy-based black magic flicks, which Erotic Nightmare kind of falls into both of those. The crime thrillers, the triad films. This is a great commentary that also will name drop a lot of stuff that you might want to seek out, that hopefully maybe Vinegar Syndrome has a hold of, including the Troublesome Night horror anthology series, and yeah, great commentary. We also get a commentary track on Deadly Camp by the Hysteria Continues. They talk about the original shockingly bad subtitles for this film, which are also included on the disc. So you get the newly translated subs and then the really, really bad ones, which I think is kind of a cool option to have on this Blu-ray. And I think Vinegar Syndrome was really smart for including that, because with that film, as we'll talk about,
you know what,
it adds something to have it.
I got to do this and call out some bullshit or some selective memories on this. Yeah, I'm calling out Vinegar Syndrome, and I don't think I've done this yet before. Bio Zombie, the comment. I'm not one who's like mad the commentary's not there, but they said that wasn't there because it wasn't, authorized. It wasn't something they did. But why are these subtitles there then?
Interesting.
I mean, I feel you both should, on each one, you should have both. I'm just saying there's a little bit of, something doesn't add 100% up.
There you go. Todd has laid down the law.
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, if one's not, approved by the studio, I mean, or, done by the filmmakers.
Yeah, I get that. But, I'm glad they're there. Because
no, I am too. Yeah, and kind of why I wish that shitty dub was on that other disc, because that was great at parties.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one could argue maybe that's the best way to watch Deadly Camp, but we'll get into that. This also goes deeper into like the VCD era and importing films like this at the time. You were, of course, a little bit older, much more knowledgeable, but I was kind of into the tape trading stuff around that time too. So I'd see stuff like Deadly Camp, the Japanese Chainsaw Massacre, stuff like that. And we'll see if it lives up to that. But it also, I really like this commentary. Of course, Hysteria Continues are kind of like slasher based. That's their specialty. And they talk this era of the Hong Kong slasher, which at this point it was Scream mania in the US, but Scream never really influenced this era of Hong Kong slasher as much. It really was kind of sticking to the formula of 80s slashers, a lot of these films. I feel like I could probably come up with a couple exceptions to that, but generally speaking, Scream didn't really have an impact on them, which I thought was interesting. It just, for whatever reason, that just wasn't a thing in Hong Kong. They'd rip off stuff, certainly, but
I think that's, and this is I think that's like too intricate of a plot for them to like do it the Hong Kong way. I think you kind of got to dumb it down for their style. And I think the 80s slasher style works perfect for it.
Yeah. And I get that. I don't know how Scream would have translated. They also talk about the Deadly Camp 2003 sequel, which much more sexually graphic, and kind of compare like some of these films, which aren't as explicit as an Ebola Syndrome. this is a good commentary because it also talks Anthony Wong just winning the equivalent of a Best Actor Oscar for Beast Cops, which was a huge hit in Hong Kong just a year before. And here he is in this low budget slasher.
Good for him.
there's some good, and some of these titles I think at some point we might tackle on the show. This is kind of rumored to be a loose remake of the 1980 Dennis Yu film The Beasts, which is a really nasty revenge exploitation film, which I'd love to cover sometimes. I don't think we've ever talked about that one. There's issues with it because of unlicensed songs that they used from the Police, which kind of makes it a problem. Love to see something happen with that, though. That is definitely a big film I'd like to see them, maybe Vinegar Syndrome, come up with a way to put out. There's also this also goes over some other films, which I'm just going to name drop because you may want to seek them out, as hard as it might be. The 1985 Hong Kong slasher The Island, which is kind of similar to this one. He Lives by Night from 1982, which is kind of inspired by Dress to Kill. It's got a lot of Dario Argento homages. Another one, love to see at some point. And one that I definitely want to do, Todd. It's a really obscure slasher called The Devil Returns. And this is like a very, very shameless Halloween ripoff. From what I understand, and I know I've seen footage, I think, from this at some point. I don't know that I ever watched a good version of the entire movie, though. It's another one that has unauthorized music, unfortunately taken from The Exorcist, which is an issue with that one. But it is, from what I understand, like kind of almost borderline scene by scene. I have to confirm that by actually watching it, but in a hopefully decent version. But yeah, so there's a lot of good info here. It's worth listening to the commentaries just to maybe make a list of similar films you might like. And just to wrap up the extras, yes, fantastic job by Vinegar Syndrome as always. Love these commentary tracks. Sam Dagan, Hysteria Continues. They always do an amazing job, and they all know their shit. So on that note, let's review the movies. So the first film, we'll review them in the order that they have them, is The Demon's Baby, which is a 1998 film from writer-director Kant Leung. And in this one, legend has it many years ago, 5 evil spirits were trapped inside ornate jars and sealed in the mountains to protect humanity from destruction. However, when a power-hungry ruler searching for treasure raids the secret chamber that houses these jars, he brings them home to his 5 wives, along with other riches he uncovers. Our kind of guy. Unaware of the power contained in these jars, things take an unexpected turn when the jars are accidentally opened, and the ruler's 5 wives all become impregnated with evil fetuses hungry for human flesh. Hate it when that happens. It is up to the palace's cook, his secret girlfriend, and a local Taoist priest to stop these man-eating babies before they escape and destroy the world. All right, so I'm going to say right off the bat, double this one up with Necrophiles, which Visual Vengeance just put out on Blu-ray. Necrophiles is much more crazy, much more low budget, but they go together. Have a killer baby double feature, or you can also throw It's Alive in there if you so wish. That might be.
Well, I'm never going to say no to It's Alive, so
make it an evening.
Well, I might say no to the remake.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to ruin the night. So this one, the shit hits the fan towards the end. Before then, a lot of comedy, a lot of sort of typical Cat 5 comedy here. Nothing too like graphic on a sexual level, considering a lot of room for it with the concubines. There's a lot of infighting, backstabbing, jealousy. We spend a decent amount of time establishing these characters, and it's all it's all pretty interesting. You have to be a little bit patient if you're looking for the craziness, which does come in later on. And boy, does it. I think this will definitely appease practical effects fans. There's a really wild scene where one of the concubines' stomach splits open and eats a puppy. There's all sorts of just demon fetus action in the village. Pretty high body count. At one point, a belly eats this guy's face. There's you get to see kind of the fully formed demon babies. At one point, somebody gets like skinned down to a skeleton. Lots of craziness in the finale. I love this. It's one of those ones you got to be patient because it takes a little bit of time to get to the special effects extravaganza, but I think it's worth the journey for sure. As always, Anthony Wong kind of playing this monk character, gets to do a lot of comedy. He's an amazing actor. Like I said, part of being in all these super serious films and all this exploitation, he's somebody that can truly say he's kind of done it all in terms of acting. You didn't. There's a lot of big Hollywood actors that sort of had their B movie runs, but even back in the day, you didn't see you didn't see like Brando doing like Demon's Baby. So I always really admired him for being able to do that, to really go to not bottom of the barrel or anything, but certainly in terms of budget and just jump back and forth was always really cool. I think this one is a blast. I have a ton of fun with it. How about you, Todd?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't remember if this is one I'd seen previously. If it was, it may have been one of those days I was drinking on some 40s or something. So it was definitely felt like a first time watch. And I was getting a little impatient. I was like, all right, because you kept telling me Cat 3 adjacent. So I was like, all right, so that just means we're missing the Cat 3 stuff. So, but once it picks up and we get to like the last third, it makes it worth the wait.
Yeah, and I enjoyed some of the comedy and the sort of palace politicking back and forth. I thought it was never boring to me. And like I said, what a hell of a final act. So I had a ton of fun with this one. Yeah. What do you rate this one, Todd?
It's a hard one because like I said, it did make it worth the wait. I'm a 3.5.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm a 3.5 as well. I had a lot of fun with it. And I think, if Demon Babies sounds like a good time to you, it probably will be as well. Maybe just not the definitive Demon Baby movie. No. But we can all use some Demon Babies. All right. So
some of us already have them.
All right, so next up is the 1999 film Erotic Nightmare from director Wyman Chang. And in this one, sexually frustrated due to his wife's medical condition, Yep finds himself preoccupied with dreaming about erotic encounters with beautiful women. Thanks to a chance encounter, Yep meets a modern-day sorcerer who promises to give him erotic dreams beyond his wildest imagination. Yep can't help but take up the man's intriguing proposition, and at first is very satisfied with the arrangement. However, Yep soon discovers that these dreams come with a price, and he must find a way to free himself of the sorcerer's spell before it's too late. All right, so this is definitely a more sexually explicit film. Some heavier Cat 3 elements there. Some on once again, kind of a perfect example because there is some like unpleasant sexual stuff in this, yet at the same time, most of it's kind of goofy, very much in the vein of a sex comedy. Um, Even some of the scenes that are, you know, it may not be a movie for the ladies. There's a scene where I'm gonna get myself in trouble. It's not supposed to be funny, but the way it is shot with a guy like just whacking her with a shoe, like over and over, was kind of almost got so ridiculous it turned to comedy.
I think it was supposed to be funny. I really do.
There's a it sort of straddles that line of being like really offensive. If you don't like woke horror movies, these are definitely not woke. But we get Anthony Wong has a lot to do here. He has a bigger role in this, which is always nice to see. It opens up in a hospital where Anthony Wong walks in on a nurse giving a blowjob to a guy, and there's some aftermath on the face. So right away it's like, okay, this is definitely more Cat 3. Again, not triple X or anything.
But so was this one also a Cat 2B?
No, this one's definitely Cat 3.
It's full.
Check,
okay.
Yeah. And as we get deeper in the plot, basically Anthony Wong is trying to cut a deal to build this mall on this sort of holy land where he meets Fong, the sorcerer, who sort of pitches him his first dream, gets him hooked. And this is, like I said, kind of the more softcore sex comedy stuff at first with the dreams. And as you can imagine, things get more and more sinister, kind of, Wishmaster with a lot more boobs, basically, in a nutshell. Really fun. There's a really funny scene where just as he's getting ready to get some action, his mom, I believe, appears and chases him around with garden shears, threatening him with castration. That was pretty funny. And at this point, he starts to wake up and realize that there's a very serious cost to these dreams, and people are dying. So this one's definitely more in the exploitation realm. I could recommend Demon's Baby as something to more just straight horror fans that maybe want to try something a little different. This is definitely more for the exploitation lovers, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. How about you, Todd?
Yeah, this one definitely does feel more, you can feel the exploitation. And that's what I tend to like. I do think I enjoyed this one a little better than the last one, but they're actually pretty close. Like I do enjoy both. I have issues with, like I said, the first one feels like it takes a while, but then you get your payoff, so it's good. Yeah, I think the humor works, and I don't know how erotic it is, but it's still pretty damn entertaining.
If you like to see somebody whacked with a shoe,
Hey, no kink shaming here.
There you go. This one's definitely more for the exploitation fans. If you're just more into it for the horror element, you may not find as much to enjoy in this one. Really good villain in the film, though, which is played by Ting Yip Ing. Ting Yip Ing who plays Fong. Really, really good. You'll recognize him from a bunch of other things, and I think he really sells this character quite well. You're hoping he gets his comeuppance, and well, you got to watch the movie to find out if he does. So, Todd, what do you rate this one?
I'm actually the same as the last one. I'm a 3.5 on this one.
I am a 3.
Okay.
I'm close. I might favor the other one a little bit, but of course, I love exploitation and horror, so I still had a blast. With both of these. All right, so moving on to our third film from 1999, and
full disclosure, this was the one I was most anticipating from the set.
Oh, okay. So had you seen this before, or you said you weren't sure?
No. I wasn't sure on our first one.
Okay.
No, Deadly Camp, yeah, because I had the VCD. So it was nice to see it in a much better presentation.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I distinctly remember this one. It was a popular VCD.
Yeah,
because I can remember it. Like I said, in the tape trading days, into DVD at this point, that one popped up a lot. It's like, you got to see Deadly Camp. It's Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Japan, and well, let's see if it lives up to that label. So this is a 1999 film from writer director Bowie Lau, and this one follows a group of friends take a boat to a remote island to camp out and party for a few days. No Sega raves. If you get that one, good on you, or sorry. After arriving on the island, they soon discover that the people they were there to meet seem to have gone missing. What's even more concerning is that the group of friends stumble across another group of campers who are also on the island to look for their missing friends too. After learning that the island is riddled with deadly traps, things take an even more extreme turn for the campers when they find themselves being stalked and killed by a bandaged maniac wielding a chainsaw. Unfairly labeled by many as the Hong Kong Friday the 13th, The Deadly Camp is a true-to-life slasher film made with a Hong Kong flair. While borrowing heavily from many popular American horror films, The Deadly Camp still manages to stand out on its own, thanks in part to a cast of young Hong Kong actors that ultimately leads to a hefty body count and surprise ending. All right, so Deadly Camp. This is one. I'd be curious. I don't know if Kruger watched it, but I'd be curious to get his opinion, because it's gonna disappoint you if you're looking for the gore.
Yeah,
there's not a lot here. The goriest bit is probably getting caught in like a bamboo trap and impaled. There's a lot of off screen, or you just kind of see the chainsaw and it cuts to a far away shot, and you just it's not the most bloody film, and I think that might disappoint a lot of slasher fans that are looking for something a bit more on the extreme side of things. I think it's fun, but how about you, Todd? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I know, it's funny because you were saying that. I was thinking the exact same thing with Kruger, because I don't remember it being that dry, I guess I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it didn't bother my shit. About half the Friday the 13th we watch are missing gore. But no, I think it is a fun homage to those slashers.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the killer in this one quite a bit. Nothing too original in terms of look, just bandages covering up, burns or disfigurement, whatever. It's not quite clear. And his son, which is challenged, and he's super protective of him. If anybody disrespects the son in even just a minor way, he's ready to wield that chainsaw pretty quick. And I think that's a strong point in this film. They at least make a standout villain character.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's some surprises there too. I thought the killer was very interesting. The tone of this one is very comedic. There's a little bit of nudity, nothing too significant. It's a lighter slasher, but it is, like I said, entertaining. Anthony Wong, not in this one as much. There's one funny scene where he's trying to sell them a condom on the beach. And a lot of these characters are super annoying. You're just kind of waiting for them to die horribly. There's dialogue like one character mocks his friend's dick, which is kind of random. Like, don't look at your friend while he's taking a piss. But
yeah, I was like,
there,
okay.
There's golden dialogue. Last time I pissed outside, there was a gust of wind and my dick hit a dog's head. So it's Academy Award level writing. And I like this one. I think a lot of people might watch it and just think it's kind of stupid. It's not a great entry point for these kinds of films by any means.
Oh no.
Yet there is something endearing about it if you can overlook the lack of gore. More off screen than I'd like as well. I would say Kruger will probably not like this one. Not to give a review for him, but it's paced really well. It's never boring. There's always something going on. You're not, checking your watch or anything too much, but this is definitely, yeah, jump into like an Ebola syndrome first or something like that. And this one's not True Cat 3 either, but
no.
So this is kind of a unique set. I really like that they put this out because there's a lot of these movies that I've been waiting for a long time to get like a proper Blu-ray release. We're getting a lot more this year. I know Calamity of Snakes, Taxi Hunter, I think is coming. That this era of film is finally kind of getting its due. So
since we talked about it so much, I grabbed a picture of the VCD to throw up.
Oh, nice.
So there we go.
There you go.
Looks like a CD, but it's got 2 discs in there, part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, it would have been interesting if that basic idea took off a little bit more in terms of the packaging, like, CDs instead of Blu-rays. It might have changed a lot, though. I think it might have died a little quicker. I don't know if people would be as, like, I don't know. You're not going to really, I guess you could have a slip cover for it still.
Yeah, I got CDs with slip covers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe just you would have said.
I don't think you'd know any different, so it wouldn't make a difference to you. Like if we had DVDs and jewel cases and then Blu-rays, I mean, maybe we'd have a little blue thing on the side instead, but I don't know. Yeah.
I always thought we'd evolve. I mean, I don't think there'll be another physical media format, but I always thought we'd evolve into like a really small, like coin-like sort of thing.
I never thought that because it kind of takes the point of physical media away. Because I mean, you want something you can tangibly hold. So to make it any smaller, it's like, well, here we go. I got my flash drive. There we go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, maybe you were right, Dan. There you go.
There you go. It's the future. Cutting edge tech.
I think I got 500 megabytes on this.
Nice.
I could put 10 pictures on there.
It's a lot of hub videos.
No, it's not, Dan. You're. I don't
Well,
even
I
think
was guessing. You could have just made it like I knew what I was talking about.
You do know what you're talking about, Dan.
It has all the gigabytes.
Yeah, but this is megabytes. This isn't even half a gigabyte. This is half a gigabyte.
So like
Or maybe that's
kilobytes,
2 gigabytes.
gigabytes, megabytes. Is that like the tier there?
No, it goes. Jesus, now I'm all confused.
Yeah.
Kilobytes. Wait, what were the ones? I
I
know.
don't know. You're the technology guy.
Well, I know.
You're
Well,
correcting
because
me.
I don't use anything other than gigabytes, so or like anything lower. So I know gigabytes, terabytes, and then kilobytes,
mini bytes.
Yeah, I don't fucking.
Just say it with conviction.
You're just
conviction.
confusing me now.
Yeah, no. All right, so I rate this one a 2.5. It's fun. It's not one you're going to revisit too often, but yeah, there's a lot of funny moments. I like Anthony Wong essentially offering to show the son of the killer how to screw like his girlfriend. I thought that was pretty funny. But it's a goofy movie. It's probably not going to be what a lot of you are looking for. So 2.5 seems fair.
Yeah, I think I have a little bit of nostalgia on this one. I do enjoy it. It is fun. It's funny because I told before I rewatch, I was like, "Yeah, Kruger, I think you'll like it." Then after I rewatch, I was like, "That gore is going to be an issue." So, but even with that said, I'm a 3.
And I believe one of the commentaries they actually do talk about this. The director of Deadly Camp also made a sex comedy, which we'll have to find at some point, called The Electrical Girl from 2001. And it's about a girl who blasts electricity from her vagina when she gets turned on. So there you go.
And it's called what?
Electrical Girl from 2001. That would seem to be an issue though, because if like she's wet, wouldn't that just like charge her? Like just
don't think too hard, Dan.
Well, I need to make sense of Electrical Girl, Todd. I need to make sense of it. Yeah, so there you go. So as a whole, look, at this point, I really want this stuff that's never really had a proper release to come out. So I commend Vinegar Syndrome for putting this out. I think it's a great set.
I think you said I command Vinegar Syndrome. I was like, okay.
Oh
Dan.
no, I'm not like making threats or anything, Todd. I commend them from like, yeah, it's not like put out Electrical Girl on 4K or I'm gonna throw down.
Looking at the stills,
coming
it looks
for
like
you, Ruben.
It looks like it was shot on video. So your Vinegar Syndrome, fantasies are gone on that one.
You never know. Never say never, Todd.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be a
visual vengeance. Visual vengeance.
There you go. You still got Unearthed.
Unearthed, yeah. There's a lot of people starting to dip their toes into this. So, but I highly recommend the set. Absolutely. But if you're a Cat 3 virgin, check out like Untold Stories, a good entry point. Dr. Lamb, Untold Story, of course. I mean, check those out before this. On that, and also I always recommend a lot of the Shaw Brothers horror films, stuff like Boxer's Omen, all of that Black Magic, all of that's gold too. So they all go together pretty well. So on that note, that's all we have for you this evening. Be sure to check out our last review show where we talk Children of the Corn 2023. Hunt Her, Kill Her. We got a lot of good reviews on that, so be sure to check it out if you have not already, if you weren't able to listen live. Also, our Oscar shows, be sure to tune into those. And patreon.com/fleshwoundfeatures. It all starts at just $1 and you get early, exclusive, uncensored content. And on that note, that's all we got for you. Good night.
Good evening. I know, I feel like we're missing a third outro, but whatever. We're out.